surprised me, and I think this is good for the growth of this particular randomizer tournament. I can't imagine how big the next one's going to be.
Yeah, for sure, and we're getting underway. No opening sequences here. We are going right into it. Are we going right to A Link to the Past, or is someone going to be checking out the first couple spots of Blueprint Star for information?
I would bet that both.
So I think.
I would bet both of these, and it does look like both runners are heading straight into Link to the Past. This is the smart play. Typically, what'll happen in Link to the Past is you'll get some power bombs to eventually be able to go down to Blueprint a lot more efficiently. Solski going straight to Link's house. It looked, or not even straight to Link's house, he's going straight to escape.
Hitaka, on the other hand, does a restart at the Sanctuary, gets blue mail.
I wonder if we'll see
defense wins championships, so that'd be a good start. Ooh, bombs on the level 1 tree pull. Nice.
That's really nice for Solski. Solski might be a lot less inclined to Houlihan, because it does look like Hitaka is going to do the early Houlihan. I love doing early Houlihan in combo just because the bomb drops, as well as the 300 rupee drops that you want to see early on, those tend to be scattered between the two games, and Solski finds Vanilla Sword.
Wow, you don't see that every day. But you know what? We'll take it, and with that, I'm interested to see where he goes from here. Oh, he's going right in for early castle. I like this play.
I think that it's a good idea to do the castle as soon as you have some kind of permanent weapon.
There's a 316 locations between the two games, so this would certainly be a good idea.
Now, Hitaka's routing here actually does make a ton of sense based on doing that, but if you do Houlihan, why would you come down this way? He might be looking at a possible early Zora check.
This is definitely a commit to a full south to North Kakariko, which means you might have to buy bombs depending on what's here at the end of the race.
Oh, and the payoff, 300 rupees at the race game. That's very likely Zora money. If we get a Moon Pearl early, we may see a very early Zora check. I am a huge fan of doing early Zora check if you have early Moon Pearl.
That's a heart container at the library. Probably not, but you never know.
I feel that breaking logic in combo randomizer is very, very powerful as long as you're able to keep all of your logic breaks straight. Even more powerful than in standard Link to the Past.
And if you thought A Link to the Past rando had a lot of logic breaks and Solski goes for a Death Warp, in combo, they can be much, much more strong.
And it does look like with that sword, Solski is going to go straight to Dark Cross. I like this play. Just as we had been alluding to before, doing checks out of logic, when you find a progression item out of logic, that can tell you where other items are. And speaking of progression items, Hitaka has found a gravity suit in the chicken coop.
I'm not even going to ask why that wound up there, and we've got a red crystal at Desert, green pendant at Eastern, crystal at Hera, and the bottle vendor's heart is broke.
Solski having a little bit of trouble finding the chest. Appeared to be something we couldn't see. Most likely some kind of Super Metroid item.
Yep, and we got power bombs on Hitaka's side. Now, one thing worth noting that he just picked up was an arrow upgrade. Because the A Link to the Past rando logic used for combo is version 29, you will see arrow and bomb upgrades, as those didn't get phased out until version 30.
And those will be implemented into the combo randomizer, likely in the next full version. And with that, that changes the math for Houlihan and so forth. It makes it significantly less valuable because all of those bomb and arrow upgrades get replaced with actual ammunition packs. So that'll make it more likely that you find bombs early in the seed. And the biggest reason why you would do an early Houlihan is to just have money for bombs, and that's a D. That's a D for Solski. I think that that's a sign that there might be something on the old man, because Eastern was vanilla, right? Vanilla green pendant?
Yep, vanilla green pendant, so that would make that a very good play, in logic or otherwise.
And with Hitaka finding... when Hitaka finds that bow, especially after having found not really much other progression, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these two runners just makes a beeline to Eastern and just does South Shore afterward.
Wouldn't be a bad play. Although, based off the rupee count, I can see Hitaka going South Shore to doing early Zora if we find the Moon Pearl. That's an if. Although that could be on the South Shore for all we know. And the bush bug is spitting out arrows. Now, the way that works is the item per seed is randomized by that particular bug, and if you pick up enough of them, a different item spits out, but you probably won't see that. But now we're gonna see, will we have to do Castle Tower for something? That's a shield. Nah. Besides, these runners are good enough to do Turtle Rock Laser Bridge without a mirror shield if they have to.
Those crab arrows are actually the bug arrows rather, are actually very relevant, because if you're making the Eastern Palace play, you do want to have a good amount of ammunition, since you will need a minimum of 18 arrows for the Armos Knights. And arrows are useful in other locations in that dungeon as well. And Hitaka is listening, and with that bow is going to make the play to Eastern. This is a good play in general, just because if you don't find the bow early. I also like this routing decision by Hitaka to hold off on checking Sahasrara's closet.
Do it all at once, it makes sense to me.
It's great long-term thinking. Oh boy!
That bottle that Solski found just turned out to be Space Jump. That is huge.
I bet Solski is absolutely thrilled to see that and is going to probably go straight to Super Metroid as soon as he finds Morph Ball.
And the good thing about finding early Space Jump is that IDJ Infinite Bomb Jump, which can be in logic, isn't going to be necessary.
Not just that, but Spring Ball over the Mode is out as well. Space Jump is one of the just most amazing luxury items you can find. Just by far the best way to can fly in Super Metroid. Hitaka's play into Eastern hasn't paid off quite yet, but you never know if there's going to be something on that old man.
True that, and it can be required. Solski thought about the save and quit, but is going to get that 300 rupee credit.
And speaking of rupees, of note, the Houlihan play that Hitaka made is making the difference between having Zora money and not having Zora money, which could be very, very relevant.
So there's one item left in Eastern, as we just saw a power bomb pack.
And of note, unless it's in the big chest, which it is not, the remaining item in here is out of sequence, but that's not going to stop Hitaka from getting this item. Both of these runners know how to do every dark room in the game.
Interesting choice by Solski opting not to make the play. And he's leaving Sahasrara a bit of a Christmas present in February.
Nothing in the back, just some supers.
But also a bottle, which will be Hitaka's first. I wonder if that'll guide him back over to Sikya.
At this point, probably not. Hitaka's already cleaned that out. So I don't foresee Hitaka checking Sick Kid until after we find Dark World access or book, or just another reason to be in the area, something like flute. Really, just flute, Dark World access, or book are the only things that might send Hitaka back into that location, and only if they're really curious about what's on Ped.
Now, here's something interesting that I noticed. Hitaka does not have a sword. So, Darkroom Guidance is being done a little differently, using arrows.
That shouldn't be a concern, because there are, I want to say, 20 arrows in pots in the final room of Eastern Palace right before the boss.
But either way, using bow beforehand.
Either way, using bow to navigate these dark rooms is really impressive. The skill involved in completing these dungeons with dark rooms swordless is a testament to how these runners got here. And you have to be good at both games.
Mm-hmm. And now here's a setup that I also use in dark rooms. Find the Igor with an arrow ahead of time. That way you know when it's coming at you, so you know when to fire.
Not to mention, if that thing gets out of place, it can be impossible to find. Where typically it's just faster to reload the room.
Yep, had to do that a few times. I got times where I couldn't get out of the room though. So that room can go south when you're real fast if that Igor gets loose.
I'm pretty sure Solski is also very thrilled to see these power bombs for when Morph Ball is acquired. Because if you've ever gone into Super Metroid with very little power bombs, such as 2 or even 1 power bomb pack, it can make the beginning of Super Metroid very, very difficult to route. But if you have 3 or 4 power bomb packs going into Super Metroid your first time, it can make routing West Criteria into Green Bryn, into Red Bryn and Kraid so nice. We've also seen
fight. Don't blink.
We've also seen a fair number of energy tanks at this point. So if we find 1 or 2 more on the route to Norfair, both of these runners very, very comfortable with doing heat runs. So we might see one depending on how much progression we find.
The only thing that could be progression now is going to be that green pendant.
That green pendant's out of logic. We don't have a lamp.
Well, we know it can't be the lamp, but it could be something else.
If there's not progression at South Shore, I would be inclined to believe that it's at Vanilla Morph. A sword! Wow! What a find for Hitaka.
So is that
Solski?
That's 2 swords, meaning when Solski gets this, that's going to be the Master Sword.
It's not progression, but I'm sure that's something Something Hitaka's very happy to see.
But
of note that so based on seeing those two swords, now I don't think Hitaka wants to see Moon Pearl. Not right now, anyway. Once I have two swords, I really don't want to see Moon Pearl.
At that point, I don't want to see the lamp because that means the Moon Pearl could be on the pyramid, and that is always Zago 1 required because that's your only way to get there.
Absolutely, but just by finding Moon Pearl, then that means you have to make the decision of how long do you want to spend trying to avoid going up Aga Tower. Because usually if you find a lamp and two swords early, that means Aga Tower is important for progression. But with the items that the runners have right now, there's not a ton that could be done even if they find Moon Pearl. I think it's just Pyramid Legend Pod at this point, although with a bow, you could explore all of Pod. Except for the boss, of course.
And there's the Master Sword for Solski. It's also worth noting about the energy tanks for Super Metroid is that you have to have 3 at a minimum to beat the game because the Rainbow Beam from Mother Brain does 300 damage.
That's very, very rarely an issue. Typically, you'll have at least 7 or 8. I've seen some seeds with really tight energy before, but typically you'll have far more than you need to complete the game. Just because there are 14 energy tanks in the pool, and with the average number of checks that you need to make, there are 316 checks in the game, and usually you'll see runners pick up around 2/3 to 3/4 of them. And that's in addition to the items that they're just able to look at and never pick up.
I was hoping the bomb would get that crab, but nope, not this time.
Morph Ball at Ice Rod Cave. There it is. However, Hitaka does not have space jump, so there will be a few limitations on where Hitaka can actually go. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Hitaka make a few more Link to the Past checks before heading to Super Metroid, because while a lot of items in Super Metroid are obtainable, it would be a bit of a hassle to get to some of them.
Gauntlet's one that comes to mind. Ooh, big 20s. And you can see Uncle's got the sword, but in this case, it's the Master Sword for Hitaka. Both runners have the same sword strength now.
So we'll see how long Hitaka decides to stay in Link to the Past with that Morph Ball. Generally, when I find that Morph Ball, I finish whatever area I'm doing, and then save and quit, do a hard reset, and go straight to Link to the Past.
You mean Super Metroid.
Or Super Metroid, yes. Just because Morph Ball and usable bombs, that opens up something like 25-30 checks.
Yeah, there's no denying that Morph Ball opens up so much of Super Metroid, and there are so many parts of the game where you have to have Morph Ball just to be able to go anywhere, that not picking that up, you're in for a bad time.
And in this tournament, we've seen Morph Ball. This tournament and the previous tournament, we have seen Morph Ball in some absolutely terrible places like Ice Palace.
First race I called, it was in the big chest of Skull Woods, and yeah, that was not a good day for somebody
We've seen
because we've also seen in this tournament few brain cramps where things get left behind and they turn out to be progression. There's a lot to keep track of in this particular combo randomizer. This may be something that I would have to pick up a tracker for because I've had a few brain farts myself in my own time.
there is no shame whatsoever in using a map tracker. The latest version does some really crazy things with logic. And even with a tracker, it can take a little bit of thinking as to realizing what you're supposed to do. How many seeds have you seen in this tournament where a runner's Dark World access is through the Meridia portal? This could actually happen, and this could conceivably happen in this seed with the way the items are playing out.
It's just Gravity Suit, Morph Ball, and Space Jump, and it looks like Solski is going to try and get up to Criteria Power Bombs, which would be a good starting.
So if we find some flippers, then that actually might be something we might see the runners do. Because all you really need, other than your basic Metroid items to be able to navigate, or you just need, on the Link to the Past side, you need Moon Pearl and Flippers before either 2 strength upgrades or a hammer and a strength upgrade.
Solski's going right first.
Early wreck ship play. This is a very interesting decision. Oh, he might just be checking the moat item. That makes sense. He might be doing moat red tower. He might be doing an early red tower check, but this is actually a very intriguing decision. I feel with Gravity Suit, the best way to route a Super Metroid is to do your West criteria checks, such as you do Omega Missile and Bomb Chorizo to Gauntlet and Terminator, to Edacoons, Big Pink, Kraid, and then go up Meridia, do West Meridia, leave through Mount Everest to check Red Tower and go up wreck ship. But Solski apparently disagrees with me, and depending on what we find, that might be a better idea, just because doing the route that I listed, although strictly more efficient than this route, is much more power bomb intensive, so he might be concerned about power bomb usage early on.
Well, there's a power bomb pack for Solski, as well as a shield that he has no interest in picking up. So we've seen 2 shields to this point.
I am not surprised that Solski is not picking up the shield after seeing he's not going to get one of the shields because of where it is. As soon as you know you're not going to be obtaining one of the shields, the other 2 shields immediately lose almost all their value. So it'll be interesting to see which of these 2 routes pays off. The more traditional Brinstar first route or the Red Tower route. There's a lot of different ways you can route Super Metroid. Now, of note, we also don't have charge, so we're going to see these runners pick up every Super Missile pack they can. And Hitaka is running into that issue that I was talking about, where the early game tends to be very power bomb intensive. Oh, and speaking of charge, I was about to mention some things about charge, but there is charge, and that's very easily accessible, so our runners will not need to worry about ammo. A very nice use of pseudo screw attack on those pirates.
Yep, other games call that a charge attack, which is a spin jump with a full charge beam, but it works all the same. Enemies that it doesn't kill, though, will still do damage to the enemy, but also damage Samus and Rico.
I wonder if Solski might be waiting on Speed Booster to route the Green Brinstar area. Because although you can do a lot of checks, so when there's Screw Attack for Hitaka, although you could do a lot of checks in Green Bryn, it does isolate Waterway, which is it's going to happen if you route Green Bryn first. Because that item is speed locked. And while the big pink energy tank is technically or logically rather locked by Wave Beam, these runners don't need Wave Beam.
No, these runners know how to do the gate glitch.
And the setup for that is actually very, very precise without high jump. With high jump, it's a breeze.
There goes the glass.
Solski's probably going to go do checks in Business Center, and Hitaka finding half magic over by Edakuns. That's always a welcome sight. And we're seeing a ton of early supers.
And we also
so these bosses are gonna
magic.
I'm almost always excited to see half magic.
It was picked up on Hitaka's side right before this current spiky room of death. Pretty much might as well what it couldn't be called casually, but it's so satisfying to see runners just damage jump right through it.
That's not Spiky Death Room. Spiky Death Room's in Wreck Ship.
Well, it is a spiky room of death, but now we get to find out, is trade gonna be showing up in full, or were you just gonna see part of them?
Great short hop mock ball out of Edakun Powerbomb by Hitaka. That is not easy to do.
Hitaka's heading for a missile upgrade. Solski only got 2 supers in there. Nice measuring for a fairly quick crate fight.
That's not the crate quick kill, but it is a quick crate kill.
But only for a prize of 50 rupees. However, all the major Super Metroid bosses have to be defeated, as well as get the 7 crystals.
Yes, we still need to defeat the Golden Four to be able to get to Mother Brain. And the win condition of this randomizer is defeating both Ganon and Mother Brain.
There's a Spore Spawn skip for Hitaka. How will this pay out?
Just a missile pack.
While
And Solski found red mail at Crady Tank. So I imagine we'll see a quick trip in the Business Center here to check. There's 4 checks here. There's the 3 high jump items, and then there's Croc Escape, which cannot be obtained. But being able to see that item can influence your routing decision to go down to Croc.
There's also Death Mountain access here as well.
That's a fair point as well. But this is going to be the best opportunity for Solski to route back to, I think, to route back up to Green Bryn. Very nicely done on the high jumpless gate, the high jumpless big pink gate glitch. That's not easy to do.
We got Boots heading out of high jump.
Solski, thinking about skipping that heart container, does decide to grab it. I would not be surprised to see Solski start skipping heart containers at this point, because he does have a red mail, and And I've seen Solski complete some Link to the Past seeds under some very harrowing conditions.
Meanwhile, this'll thicken the plot a bit. Hitaka at Vanilla Charge Beam picked up the Book of Medora. That gives us Desert Palace access, but we still need a fire source to be able to finish.
Hitaka very, very low on power. Oh, wow!
Hammer!
Retro Bryn having hammer. So this traditional routing play by Hitaka of going down Bryn instead of the red tower play is really paying off.
He is going to want to get a couple more power bombs. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to go up to Billy May's room without having to go up to Crate. Or he's going to prove me wrong.
No, you can screw attack this block. You can use screw attack will destroy bomb blocks. So if Hitaka did not have screw attack, this would be not a soft. This wouldn't be a soft lock, but it would be a lot of trouble. Billy Mays this time just a scam artist, having 1 rupee and 20 rupees.
That was Billy Mays before he became a success. Ice Beam.
Ice Beam is very nice to find. Ice Beam will speed up Turian quite a bit, but with Space Jump, there's nothing that logically requires Ice Beam, at least at this level. If this were a hard mode seed, I would start to get scared if I didn't have gravity, but I'm actually a little curious when one of these runners are going to go to Meridia. Because Solski, I thought, was going to go clear out West Meridia based on where he was, but very clearly not interested in that. Going to take those boots and probably go to... Has he not done South Shore yet?
He could be setting up a water walk to Zora.
True, that is entirely possible.
That's why you don't hit those green enemies with your sword while they're moving, because, yep, you will get electrified. There's that aforementioned water walk, which he's going to use to get over to Zora's domain and see what he can find.
Right, because if you water walk instead of Fake Flipper, you don't need Moon Pearl to check those 2 locations. Very interesting he's not going up to Zora right now. He might check Hobo first. Oh, that looks like it's exactly what he's doing.
Yep. Problem is, I don't think he'd be water walking out of that.
No, he would not be.
Big 20.
If I were Hitaka, I would consider going back to the ship to get power bombs, and it looks like that's exactly what is happening. This is a good play.
Yep, it's what he has to do, so might as well get her done. Getting out of the water on purpose so he can run The question is, does King Zora have anything, or is he also scamming?
Of
As
note,
we see Lord Banana on the ledge.
this is actually also out of sequence. Because we have no flippers and no lift upgrade yet.
Hitaka's heading to Red Power, and it's super missiles, so he's an arms dealer today.
Well, more supers is not bad, because without full beams... super missiles are faster against Mother Brain, and Solski's returning to Super Metroid. I think this is a wreck ship play.
Nope, he's heading up to the Gauntlet.
Oh, right, he hasn't done Green Bryn yet. So I would not be surprised to see one of these runners make a wreck ship play soon, because as much as you usually want to try to go mode wreck ship, it is 9 locations.
And 9 locations is nothing to sneeze at.
Not all of those locations are obtainable. There is a speed locked location that if something winds up being there, it can be a real bear to return to. But this seed is really dried up in terms of progression, and Wreck Ship is one of the few locations that neither runner has checked at this point. We've got to find something soon. There's also Meridia, but it looks like both of these runners are just trying to avoid Meridia like the plague, and I don't blame them. Typically, the way I like to route Meridia is I like to do the west half and then try to transition from the Link to the Past side to do the east half. The only way that really can be an issue is if there's something very important on the east side, but usually that's pretty rare because there's only 3 items on the east side.
As well as a boss, but to bring up a point in chat, we actually had a Phantoon blocking upper criteria above where you go to wreck ship on the last seed that I called with shades, and up there was the Cane of Samar. So despite that slight D-value due to the current version of the logic, there was certainly some value to be had.
And Hitaka power bombing the back entrance to Meridia, but still not going there. It'll be interesting to see which of these runners goes to Meridia, and that screw attack is going to be so helpful. The screw attack is one of my favorite luxury items to see, just because it makes combat pretty trivial in Super Metroid.
I'm wondering if maybe they're avoiding going to Meridia in case Main Street Missiles turns out to be something, because that is a speed lock, and a challenging one to get in your first couple playthroughs for Super Metroid. I know that one item can give you all kinds of fits, but get it done, and yeah.
I actually think that from a casual perspective, Main Street Missile is the hardest single item to get in the game, just because you have to do a Shine Spark from out of the room. Well, not necessarily for these guys. Oh, did you see that jump from Solski? He saved that so hard.
Very good save.
And we have a crate quit kill from Hitaka. Very well done. And all those, unlike in some later Metroid games, those crumble block jumps, they're not frame perfect, but they're close. As opposed to, I think it's Metroid Fusion, where jumping off of a crumble block is frame perfect.
That does sound about right, because I don't think, because that game, if I've only done that, I've only done that like one time, that's it. This game, I want to say it's a bit more of a generous window in comparison to Frame Perfect. How many frames do you think?
In Super Metroid, I'm not actually quite sure how many frames it is, but it's still not very many.
Yeah, I'd have to say it'd be a number in the single digits, maybe. I'm going to estimate anywhere between 3 and 8 because it just seems about right.
And it does look like we have Hitaka making the Meridia play. Quite a few locations here. There's 4 in the sand pits. But I can definitely see the argument to avoiding Meridia without Speed Booster because there are 3 speed lock locations by logic. One of them is actually speed locked, but it doesn't have anything. It's just a missile pack. Morph Ball bombs at Crab Supers. I wonder if we'll see Hitaka grab that. With the amount of power bombs that you have at this point in the seed, I wouldn't be surprised if Hitaka left it.
True, but it still could come in handy should you get in a pinch. However, it's worth noting that those bombs are actually the cue to start the bomb Torizo. Varia didn't get up there.
I actually can they? I don't think they can right now.
No, Hitaka can't. He never turned in the bottle. Solski goes there and gets that. That's a bit of an advantage because that basically gives him access to everything that isn't speed.
Yeah, that's too bad that Hitaka doesn't have space jump from Sit Kid, and it might be a while before Hitaka gets that Varia suit because there's no real reason to return to Sit Kid right now. To save and quit back to Sanctuary and go all the way back to Kakariko for just one check makes absolutely no sense. And Hitaka is going to pick up those Morph Ball bombs.
Probably to do so as a means to avoid having to use too many power bombs, which would make sense.
Oh, right. Wait, Hitaka grabbing Morph Ball bombs? That allows them to get the Varia suit. That'll be a substitute for space jump. That's fantastic play by Hitaka.
That's some very good thinking, too. The question is, how's his IDJ? I know mine's not very good, so don't ask me how mine is.
This is a long IBJ, too. Although I'm sure both of these players are very well versed in IBJ. Hitaka climbing very, very quickly. And there's the Varia suit. That'll be a pretty big advantage for Hitaka. We are
44 minutes in.
Is that
about?
That might actually be. I think that's actually, technically speaking, SM go mode for Hitaka, but that's a very weak go mode. I wouldn't be surprised to see Hitaka try to put off Norfair until finding some beams and. Is this in? Oh, of course, this is logic for Hitaka's bombs. Just if you
bombs, but he's just doing it.
Yeah, gravity jumps when you're in Mount Everest and in most places in Meridia, any place that you'd want an infinite bomb jump, with the exception of Mama Turtle's room, it's just faster to do a gravity jump.
Interesting to note for those who played the first Metroid game is that Meridia Beach area is based off Rock Ring Star. It flooded after the first game.
And what do we have in the back of Watering Hole? An E-Tank, which I'm sure Hitaka's happy to find at this point. 7 is really when I expect these runners to start leaving E-Tanks behind.
That's certainly possible, especially now that we know that the possibility of hell runs is out the door.
Especially with double suits. I wonder if Solski finds another energy tank or two before heading to Meridia, he might consider a heat run. The Solski plays in a lot of the weekly hard logic races. Looks like this is gonna be great. We're gonna see Hitaka do the hard logic aqueduct clip. This is so great. I love this clip. That is actually something that is in logic for hard.
How tight are those jumps for jumping off the snail? Hopefully that's nothing he can get soft locked on, because that would really hurt.
It's more the position of the snail that's... Lining up the position of the snail is more difficult than actually making the jumps. The jumping itself is very easy.
And we're going down the sand pit. And Red Sand Pit has nothing worth value, so it's a reset for Hitaka. Solski is heading to Rich.
I like this wreck ship play. If you're bent on avoiding Meridia, then wreck ship makes total sense.
Look at that ammo count. Solski should have no problem here with Dragon. Emphasis on should because, commentators curse potential and all that nonsense.
Oh, Solski's very, very skilled at both of these games. The bosses should not be an issue at all.
And the sand pits are a strikeout.
Oh, Hitaka's still going. We gonna go to... No, we're not. Oh, right, because Hitaka doesn't have Ice Beam.
Yep, because of that, this is it for Meridia. So it makes perfect sense to go from that left sand pit to elsewhere.
And Hitaka's gonna make a beeline for Bubble Mountain, probably.
Yep. But he's going to want to check the high jump location for sure, because that's where the boots are.
Meanwhile, Solski taking on what I like to call the stupid ghost. Great Doppler. This might be a 2-cycle Phantoon.
Right. Phantoon, the way the fight works is that when the eye opens, can be on 3 cycles. A fast cycle where it opens right away, a medium cycle where it opens up after 1 loop, and a slow cycle which takes 3.
So close. I think Phantoon's actually in super range right now.
That Solski's not chancing it, and quite frankly, I don't blame him, because if you hit that super at the wrong time, and he's got any health left, he goes into a rage state.
You're not actually going to see this from any of the runners left in the tournament, but there is a very beginner-friendly strategy with Phantoon that involves intentionally raging him once. Because Phantoon has 2,400 hit points, if you fire 4 missiles into Phantoon and then fire a super missile, that will deal 1,000 points of damage. And then if you fire the maximum number of missiles on the next phase, which is 5, you can actually put Phantoon into the range of a super missile on the 3rd phase, and that's a Moon Pearl in Wreck Ship.
Wow!
The value!
The value is big, but that is just that is potentially nasty. Well, maybe not for these runners, but anybody not expecting a quick Moon Pearl, that might be gross.
So with that Moon Pearl, and given his knowledge of the inner workings of the randomizer, we may actually see him piece out a Wreck Ship.
And the old man was running up the mountain because he was secretly smuggling arms.
Oh, no, he's not. He's going to at least check Spiky Death Room. Even if you're not concerned about dying, you still want to save before going into Spiky Death Room because it's much, much faster to reset after going all the way up to where the Wreck Ship E-Tank is. Well, not this room. This is the sponge bathroom. This room coming up here. This is Spiky Death Room, and you can see why.
Oh yeah, he's basically the Super Metroid equivalent of the Hellway that is in Thieves' Town.
It's a pretty awful room if you don't have suits. If you don't have suits, those spike platforms do 200 damage.
That was 10 arrows, so quick reset, and Hitaka's checking out the Ice Beam location.
I've seen so many runners in this tournament just straight up get killed by accidentally K-going through a spike platform.
A rupee horde. Pretty good. Should be good at rupees now.
I don't blame Hitaka for picking that up. That's potion money. And if it's only a second or two out of the way, I'll take potion money.
Oh, screw attack plus attic cleaning equals easy peasy.
Oh, attic with screw attack is so much fun. Attic with screw attack and space jump is just amazing. Oh, those are silver arrows at Crumble Shaft.
And Crumble Shaft giving Hitaka a bit of a trip up, but he gets there.
Crumble Shaft is a very, very tricky room. And very good on Hitaka for turning around, because without Speed Booster, you're not going to crack that way.
Yep, the only other way to croc is by use of the wave beam through the back door.
And of note, because Hitaka does not have Speed Booster, that's out of sequence, but it doesn't matter for logic, because the only thing that logically requires silver arrows is Ganon. Now, if we had seen something like flippers or anything that was actual progression, then things would get interesting. But so far, none of these sequence breaks have really paid off in terms of progression. A lot of niceties, but no real progression yet. Solski cleaning up the back half of Wrecked Ship, while Hitaka is headed towards Bubble Mountain. Bubble Mountain is a pretty lucrative location. There's... if you can get to all of it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 locations, I believe.
Sounds about right. So there's a chance of something being here.
Especially with where we found that Varia suit. Solski, it's time for Solski to go bowling.
Well, first going flying to the bowling alley, although that sounds like fun right there.
Spacer's not a terrible find.
At this point, it's passable.
Obviously, you'd much rather see Plasma, but Spacer is an absolutely okay find at this point.
Flippers.
And there are the flippers. There are the flippers. This is a really interesting seed, actually. This is the kind of seed where you really need to start thinking that the Meridia portal is going to be your Dark World access. Although that's not in logic yet. But it's looking very likely that the Meridia portal is going to be your Dark World access because Ice Beam is out there. So these runners would be able to get there. Neither one of them currently know it, but the items exist for them to access Dark World through the Meridia portal.
So I'm seeing Rip Microwave in chat because Solski left the X-ray scope back at the wrecked ship.
I don't blame him.
The microwave beam.
I don't blame him. X-ray scope gets in the way of your menus because if you try to run and use that X-ray scope or switch weapons and you go over it accidentally, you'll just lose all your speed. So the twists and turns the seed has taken these runners on is contrary to any. It's really not friendly in terms of routing, almost no matter how you do it. Because what the seed wants you to do is it wants you to go up to Wreck Ship to get Moon Pearl, then go back to Meridia to get Variasuit, go to Norfair to get Flippers, and then go back to Meridia to get to the Dark World.
There's just one problem with that. Where's the speed booster? You could ice clip to Phantoon, but
it's out of logic. Yeah, but I think the sheer volume of locations that you'd have access to is well worth doing the ice clip, and that ice clip is the freest clip in the game. Anybody can do it. And it's reasons why it's that sort of nuance with the logic is why you'll see even experienced runners use a map tracker. This is very definitely the thinking man's randomizer.
No doubt about that. Solski does see the Morph Ball bombs. That's a Moonfall.
Nice Moonfall.
Discovered about, I want to say, 2.5 years ago.
Couple of years ago, and it's been responsible for saving quite a bit of time in the vanilla game, and we are getting ever closer to that legendary 39-minute run being possible.
The question is, who could get that 39? Now, we know Zosi's chasing down the any percent record himself. Will he be the first to get it? Will it be Behemoth? Will it be Oats and Goats?
I think there needs to be one more significant piece of tech discovered before it becomes realistic.
And with this game, that significant piece of tech could come. Well, I mean, we found something 2-3 years ago. As Hitaka finds Ice Beam, well, who knows? You never say never with this. Or anything for that. Looks like Hitaka is about to be getting space jumped.
We might see a few explosives dropped on this poor kid after finding the space jump. Showing some restraint. Hitaka's actually one of the runners in this tournament I really enjoy watching because of how expressive they tend to be when finding something in an awful location.
I kind of picked up a few tricks on that from a few folks. Like one of them, I believe I was watching. This was about the time I picked up playing Link to the Past Rando myself. I was watching Fred Coughlin. He didn't like some of the pickups he was getting, so the chess he dropped the bomb right on.
Oh, the classic. I think it was F. Coughlin and Rick both bombing the final chest in GT. That was great. But back to this race.
Oh yeah, glorious to say the least.
Just some classic moments. But it does look like we have Solski making the play through Meridia. And with that ice beam, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if Solski just wants to get all of Meridia out of the way. Little he knows that the flippers to really capitalize on this play are in Norfair. So, very tricky routing. And I think Hitaka's going down to Ridley. I like this play. This is absolutely fine. Because there could be progression in some silly place like Mire Shed. We don't have any medallions yet, so we can't actually get into Mire. Another reason why I like this play is because it lets you check the dungeons.
Solski's hitting the sand pits. Unfortunately, we know the sand pits are a bust. Could he go for that tricky ice clip to Shack?
Solski might try.
Or he might just hit the reset button.
Interesting that Hitaka chose not to save before fighting, before going down to GT. What I see a lot of runners do to try to conserve ammo is save at the save station where the elevator to Lower Norfair is, and then go down to GT, and if there's nothing there, just reset.
I think he's dead set on getting there, because that would be a way to get into Dark World without really, needing all the usual stuff you need to get to Misery Mire in A Link to the Past, which you would need both lift upgrades and the flute.
But gate hacking, just doing the gate hack to get to Vanilla Screw Room is so much faster. Was that a hook shot?
I don't think so. That looked like a single arrow. From this bit, we're just gonna go charge a Spazer from this position.
This makes sense.
It does, even though I wonder if super missiles would be faster here.
Probably trying to save supers for Ridley because GT is not weak to super missiles. Ridley is, and Ridley, or GT rather, does throw some of your supers back at you. Although Hitaka's screw attack could very easily just farm supers after GT in the room that you would do the gate hack in.
Yeah, the gate hack he's talking about is the green gate glitch. It's not easy to do, I will confess that, as somebody who has tried and not been able to hit it because the timing is something crazy.
There are a few different ways you can do the gate hack also. There's a method where you can just run up to the door and try to fire the super missile through the gate. The other one is where you can just stand a pixel or two away from the gate and then fire upwards. It's largely runner preference.
We get a Mire Shed. Let's see it.
Mire Shed, likely a map check also. Oh! Hitaka doesn't have the Moon Pearl! This was just for a map check. Boy, if there is something If there is something there, this is big for Solski. Hitaka hasn't been direct ship.
That could really change the dynamic of this race at the
If
drop of a hat.
there's something super important, in that mire shed, this could be a very, very interesting race very quickly. And it does look like Solski it looks like Solski did do the ice clip to Batoon, and I would not be surprised to see this could get really interesting. Solski could actually, I think, fake flipper to get to Dark World.
That's a missile pack.
I didn't even think about fake flippering in Dark World, because where is a fake flipper in Dark World useful in just standalone Link to the Past? This is great. This is just great on the fly from him. And it's something you have to be very skilled at to be able to be successful in this randomizer, is just the level of on-the-fly routing and rerouting necessary to complete these seeds in the most efficient manner possible is absolutely mind-blowing, even for people who have played many, many seeds before. This is very, very heads-up decision-making. And it does look like we're going to see Solski go all the way to Dre. I do like this with his super missile count as high as it is. Both runners actually on the way to different Super Metroid bosses. Just a big 20 at Dragon Missile. And Solski should be able to make very, very quick work of the shrimp.
Both runners have both suits.
The suits were actually fairly easy to find for a change. How many times in both of these tournaments have we seen a suit buried in some place like mire?
Yep, I've seen that before. So we get a K go through the spike platform. Don't do that on the second one. Now, as Dragon takes damage, its body crush movements become much faster and tougher to avoid. And Solski does a very nice job of that fight. We're about to have another fight, Hitaka versus Ridley.
Now, Hitaka does not have a ton of ammo to spare. So, East Meridia, a dud.
On the way to Ridley was Magic Cake. Now, the only way that could be worth anything is Hitaka finishes Ridley off very nicely.
Very nice fight.
Yeah, Magic Cake could only be something at Bumper Cave at this point. Heart container. Okay. Solski is going for Dark World.
You so rarely get to see this. I just love it when seeds do this.
Now, was it just my imagination, or were those Kago jumps to get past the enemies much easier with the gravity scoop off?
I think you actually need to take gravity off to do it. And we are seeing the fake flipper gonna take this warp over to North Dark World. So now what's very interesting about this play is is from Solski's perspective, this is out of logic, but we know that based on the items these runners have found... Actually, wait, no, this is still out of logic because we don't have speed.
We also don't have lamps, so there's no way to get to Aga. Well,
Right,
unless
this...
you use logic.
Right, this is what Solski is doing. I like the play. He just needs to remember that this is totally out of logic. No, the runners do not have access to Aga because we do not have a lamp.
I'm gonna have to raise an objection to that because Hitaka just found it at the Morph Ridley energy tank pre-Ridley.
So now what Solski is doing is in logic. As far as from our perspective, it's in logic. From either one of the individual runners' perspectives, it's not. But I get the feeling Solski is going to find a lot of progression. Solski actually, based on the items we've seen so far, may never find the lantern.
At this point, he might go move before he finds it.
I do like this pod play, though. The dungeon's beatable.
And you can get 5 items here, so there's good stuff to be had. And it looks like other than the lamp, Morph didn't, and the cake, Morph didn't have a whole heck of a lot, so Solski could be on the path to the next big progression break. Now, the only other thing I can think of is with Book of Medora, which I believe, and chat, feel free to correct me on this because it's not shown on the tracker, is that Hitaka does have Book of Medora. Knowing that, he could very well be on his way to Desert next time he's in A Link to the Past, and he's going for a gate glitch, so hold that. It's not cooperating for him. There we go. How tight is that gate glitch to do with missiles? Looks like Hitaka is gonna save and then head to Crocomire. I like this play because if the entire area is a bust, you can just reset it. Now, it's looking to me like Hitaka's gonna want to jump before firing, or... Yeah, the positioning was off for that super because it kept hitting Crocomire in his beak. Or rather, the bridge of his nose.
Another note about the flippers is because Swamp Palace is a pendant, Solski might not need the flippers.
It was just missiles past Crocomire, but Hitaka kept Croc off screen on purpose because that particular cutscene gets very laggy. Oh, all we know that Solski picked up is an energy tank in that dark room. The dark maze can be very tricky to navigate. That's a big 20, but yeah, I have days where the dark maze just gives me the business and I get lost in it. That can happen to anybody. These runners should be fine, though.
These runners know all the dark rooms in the game. It's now Dark Maze is one of those that it's one of the hardest ones to learn, especially now that Meyer the switch room in
Oh,
Meyer has an easy setup.
hold it. Sorry to cut you off there, but Solski did find the mirror somewhere. I believe it was in the dark room, so based off what we found, it's really not a good item for him because he does not have the flippers. So could there be something in Swamp Palace at this point? I'd have to say we cannot rule that out.
That's actually what Hitaka needs, because Hitaka still does not have the Moon Pearl, and I would not be surprised to see some major tilt when that Moon Pearl gets discovered. Hitaka's probably going to feel very, very far behind. Because, especially after checking Croc, because I don't think I saw any value whatsoever in Croc.
No, there was absolutely nothing.
And while that mirror does open up Hera and East Death Mountain, Solski is going to put that off as long as possible, because Solski's route to get to the Dark World at all is a little tenuous. So I would say Solski's going to try to clear out as much of Dark World as possible before going there.
Now, Solski's having to deal with the turtles, so basically he's going through a turtle party in the dark. Ugh. I've tried that, and without any way of lighting the torch, no fire rod, it's a great room to get killed in.
If you have a medallion, it's not bad, but none of those have been found. This is just a nightmare situation to have to do this room with only the hammer. But it does look like Solski has made it through, and Hitaka making the desert play.
I'm curious to see what's here, because ever since we found the Book of Medora, this has been in play up to the part of needing the fire source to actually finish the dungeon. What if the fire rod turns out to be here? That could present an interesting scenario, so to speak.
Oh, you know what else could be absolutely absurd with this setup? Landmos. It is possible to have this legendary seed where Landmos have first lift upgrade.
Considering that it is possible to get to Mireshed by way of East Meridia, yeah, that's very much a possibility.
Lower Norfair, but yes. And this can only occur in combo as well, because in standalone LTTP, the back of Desert is gated by a strength upgrade, but you can actually mirror behind those blocks if you can get through Lower Norfair, and the items are just set up perfectly for that to be a possibility. Wouldn't that be a place to put a strength upgrade?
Well,
that's Wave Beam.
Or you can put the Wave Beam there. I mean, you're not going to hear me say nothing, because that's a very helpful beam to have, and that gives Hitaka the second strongest beam set up in the game behind Full Beam. Looks like we are getting a look at Hype Cave for the first time in the seed. Bomb upgrade, 3 bombs to go with the bomb upgrade, a missile, another missile, and bombs. Well, safe to say that that was an ammo cache, not a Hype Cave. In other words, it bombed. We are going to get a Bombos tablet check, which can still hold progression, as this is version 29, not version 30, where there's a bug that puts nothing marked as progression on the tablets. And Solski checked Agina, and we got a mushroom there. It's got to be a very dry mushroom to be in an arid environment. But with Mirror, this now lends to some very unique routing to where you can actually get... Oh wait, he doesn't have flippers. Never mind. Could still head up there rather easily with the Mirror, but is going to hold off on that for now.
What's really interesting is I don't believe we have... I don't think we have Village of Outcasts access yet, do we?
Unless there's some sort of water walk to get up there that I'm not aware of, I don't think we can get there, but we can still check the race game and K45. It's K45 and Stumpy, which Solski already got K45. Jerk.
I think Alec Baldwin's might actually be the last check we can make in Dark World. At least from Solski's perspective. It'll actually be really interesting. Even though it looks like Solski has more of a lead, it's really going to depend on how long it takes Hitaka to find this Moon Pearl. As well as Mirror, but there are really key items that are missing on both sides of the equation right now. Because every time Solski has to return to Dark World, he's going to have to do so through Meridia, which is quite a trek. And those flippers were not easy to locate.
So it looks like Solski is, instead of turning the mushroom in, continuing with the fetch quest, which went from book to mushroom. Now, well, let's just hope it ends at that, because that's halfway to basically a combination involving a book leading to a mushroom, leading to a shovel, leading to powder, leading to something a magic pad. I remember Greenleaf mentioning it once in the 2016 tournament. We're halfway to that.
Oh, Greenleaf.
Do we necessarily want to see that? If you believe in Schadenfreude, that might be a yes, but if you believe in Runner Sanity, you might be saying no.
I get the feeling that both of these runners would appreciate a fast seed, and some of us would like to get to bed at a decent time also.
Well, then again, I don't work till mid-afternoon, so we shall see what happens.
Meanwhile, Solski making the Tower of Hera play and needs a fire source. We still haven't seen a fire source. We're about 85 minutes in. And Hitaka making the wreck ship play. I wouldn't be surprised if once that Moon Pearl is located on Hitaka's end, we're going to see a lot of missiles fly. Like, we might see some serious violence on screen.
Oh, we got a fire rod locked behind both lift upgrades. Our only fire source is the lamp that's in Lower Norfair.
That could be very bad news for... That could be very bad news for him, actually.
Solski trying to practice hover over that, and that is just 5 rupees. Hardly worth it.
We know Solski is more than capable of hovering. Solski in the race that... I think in the Swiss race that I did with him, he skipped... he was able to skip hookshot that way.
Something tells me there may be no skipping the lamp this time. Yeah, there's Tempered Sword.
Tempered is very welcome. But I get the feeling there might not... I think I agree with you. And if that is the case, that would give Hitaka a big chance to make up some ground, because I feel Solski has a pretty clear lead right now. Oh, there's the third shield.
And a fairy in a bottle.
But just a bunch of nothing in Death Mountain. Where could this progression be at? I think Tempered, but I don't think I saw anything else up here. Nothing that's actual progression.
We still can't get to Catfish, so that mushroom might do something. Emphasis on might.
I'm beginning to wonder if Swamp Palace might be the answer. Because we know that Swamp Palace is accessible, but neither one of these runners does.
So at this point, the lamp leading to Eastern and the mirror would probably be Hitaka's best chance at finding something in Swamp, and we actually get the Moon Pearl getting shot. Good thing that thing's indestructible.
I am not surprised to see Hitaka point a few missiles at that Moon Pearl, because that is not a pleasant location at all for that thing.
Especially considering what we know about this seed, that makes it even more unpleasant as Solski picks up the pig skewers.
When you stop and think about it, the logic that this seed expects you to take to get progression is just twisted.
Even as twisted as it is quite fitting for a third-place matchup.
Oh, absolutely. You want to see, as a viewer, I feel in these... You want to see these top-tier runners just race these absolute nonsense logic seeds.
The nonsense logic seeds would make the average runner probably tap out in frustration at some point.
Oh, send those seeds my way, I'll play them.
You heard it here, folks.
Not too many, though. There's already a couple in backlog, but back to the race. Does look like Solski is going to clear out Bubble Mountain. We might see a possible Lower Norfair play, which would be great for him.
Yep, it might just nudge him in the right direction as he picks up the Spazer Beam. And now with the Zora Flippers, Solski is able to go into Swamp Palace. Can't clear it without the hook shot, but there is a good chance of something important being there.
I don't know if he'll want to go back to Swamp Palace right now, though, because it is quite a trip to get back there with his current setup. He'll have to go all the way back through Meridia to get there, and that's a several-minute trek.
Knowing that, would it be faster to bite the bullet and do Aga 1 just so you have that portal in A Link to the Past?
It depends on how many times you foresee yourself going into the Dark World. If you foresee yourself going into the Dark World at least 2 more times before finding a strength upgrade, I think it's absolutely worth it to do Aga 1. And it's really incredible that we have not found a strength upgrade yet.
Yeah, at this point, our strength upgrades could be the go mode it's set up.
It just makes logical sense at this point to go to Lower Norfair and check that, because with Meyer being a pendant, going in there is a lot less of a priority. It's really one of the last places you'd want to go with this setup. And it does look like Solski is headed down to Lower Norfair, Hitaka finishing up Rek's ship. And I believe for your pedestal possibilities, right now it looks like Ice Rod. Strength upgrade. Actually, a strength upgrade can absolutely be on pedestal. And the medallion to get into Turtle Rock, I think that's it. I don't think anything else can be on pedestal. Oh, that is right. Oh my. If we find an Ether Medallion... That was a great first try gate hack by Solski, and he's clearly headed to Meyer. So if we find Ether... Wow. It is entirely possible for your first lift upgrade to be on pedestal. That is absolutely crazy. Interesting that Solski is choosing to check GT from here. What with the ammo situation? Probably going to do a super farm after GT.
That was nicely done on the GT fight.
Probably will farm supers now. Well, of course, after checking Meyer, but before going down to Ridley, you would definitely want to farm supers. And now Solski is going to be able to easily check. Oh, he might be thinking about it. Oh wait, he doesn't have. He didn't have a strength upgrade. You don't have a strength upgrade, Solski. Wouldn't it be something else if a strength upgrade was in here? But I think the way this is going, the chat wants to see first strength upgrade on Pedestal. We would need Ether for that to be a possibility, but as soon as Ether is found, it is entirely possible that the first strength upgrade could be on the Pedestal. More supers for Solski. We have so much ammo in this seed.
Here's where not having lamps gonna hurt Solski is. He'll be able to do everything in desert, but defeat the landmillas.
And do landmillas have an item?
Well, no. It's been a while since Hitaka was here, so this'll jog our memory.
Oh, chat pointing out that landmos have map.
Wavebeam will definitely help Solski out when he gets down to Ridley, as that'll up the beam firepower that he has, as well as allow his beam to pass through walls.
And of note, we're actually just plasma away from full beam combo for Mother Brain, which makes the Mother Brain fight absolutely trivial.
Yeah, it's a very simple fight once you have that.
And it does look like Hitaka is going to get into Dark World as well through the Meridia portal. Down goes Phantoon.
While he's here, he might as well take out Dragon, because that'll be all 4 golden statue bosses, so he would be able to defeat Phantoon and battle the Metroids and Mother Brain at any point of his choosing.
So I don't think Hitaka is going to make this play, but I think that the interesting play would be to go dig out Swamp Palace. But I know a lot of the best runners want to put off doing Pendant Swamp as long as possible. The item density is there, you can't deny it, but Swamp Palace does take a while to clear, and the best runners tend to agree that you should put off Pendant Swamp Palace as long as possible.
Answer question in chat with Screw Attack. Plasma Beam Room is 100% in logic. You can definitely fight your way out of that room even without Plasma, because Screw Attack just rips those enemies apart. Oh, hi, Bombos. Was Mickey Mouse in the Mickey Mouse room practicing some fire magic as part of Kingdom Hearts 3?
Neither one of our runners has checked Plasma. Hitaka might, because after finding that Moon Pearl, this is the reason why Hitaka might check. Because after finding Moon Pearl that late in Wreck Ship, Hitaka might feel very behind, and will start taking risks. Start checking out of the way locations to try to catch up by finding something in just an odd location.
We have certainly seen stuff in odd locations in this tournament. Heck, we even had a Boat Shack tool.
So I think if you're Hitaka, you go up and check Plasma Beam.
And that kid could still come into play as nobody has been to the Village of Outcasts area.
No one has been to the Village of Outcasts area because we still somehow don't have access. There's so many items we could find to get Village of Outcasts access, but nothing yet.
The hookshot would also allow for access too, so finding that could be the key to breaking this seed open.
That is correct, and what a lot of people don't realize is that the hookshot is actually your intended access to Village of Outcasts. In the vanilla game.
That is true, however, the speedrun does things just a little bit differently.
Hitaka's going to Plasma. I like this call. If there is progression at Plasma Beam, it's going to take a very, very long time for Solski to come back.
Just waiting on the Ridley grab. There it is, and Ridley is down. Both runners now able to enter Turian at any time of their choosing. Just probably not yet.
Solski saying no to the heart container. Not surprised. He has red mail and plenty of health. Should be absolutely fine. So we're about to see what is in Plasma Beam Room. This is moment of truth for Hitaka right here.
Nope, just a heart container.
That is a letdown for Hitaka.
Bit of a letdown for me too, because I was hoping that something would be there, like a lift upgrade, a hookshot, ether medallion, Canis Samari. I had all those items on my list to potentially be there. Nada.
I will say that I think this is the longest I have ever seen runners go without a strength upgrade.
I would have to agree with that. Even the longest without a strength upgrade for Link to the Past Rando didn't take this long. Heck, a number of seeds are done by this time. Solski's about to come across the lamp, which will enable him to finish Desert.
Now, one important note is Hitaka does not have the mirror. But it looks like with going to Pod, I think, wasn't the mirror in Pod?
Yes, it was in the chest on the right in the dark basement, so he will come across it. Plus, he will definitely be able to finish the dungeon, no problem whatsoever. I gotta respond to this from chat. Combo Rando creates one scenario where you can finish Desert Palace without a lift upgrade if you mirror in a specific spot in Mire Shed. Now, that's not really going to be very worth it for our runners at this point, because it would be a bit out of the way just to get there. Or is that where in the world is Solski going?
Solski might be going back. I was thinking that Solski might be going back to Desert. He might be thinking about desert because we're really running out of locations to check. He was probably just going to check Frank or Z and then backtrack back to the Mire portal. This is a
I can understand why.
This is a bold play, but if there is first lift upgrade in desert on Landmos, well, no, there can't be. We've seen both the items.
He may just be thinking about get the darn dungeon over with so he doesn't have to go back to that area.
I love watching people do this. I love watching people go backwards through Amphitheater.
Fun fact, the first time I beat Super Metroid, that's exactly how I did it when I was a kid.
Interesting. Typically, you'll only see runners take this path when go-moding Lower Norfair. So it's very interesting to see Solski take this route. And he only has 3 supers. Oh no! Oh no!
That happened.
That is very unfortunate for Solski.
So now he's gotta go a rather different path.
He's just going around GT again. This makes sense. It goes to show you just how difficult the gate hack can be.
It's always satisfying to see enemies get carved up with the screw attack. Nice sidestep of the baby Helmasaur there.
And Solski is going to finish desert and then probably save and quit. I wouldn't be surprised to see him save and quit and like what else is there? I think he might just have to bite the bullet and go to Swamp. What other locations are available for Solski? I sure can't think of much.
Yeah, Swamp's the only thing I can think of, and I'm thinking the fastest way to go there, correct me if I'm wrong, well, Plasma's a dud, I'll say that right off the bat, is that the only real quick way to get there, I mean, neither way to get there is fast, it's either through Meridia or by climbing Agawam. And at that point, you're dealing with blue ball RNG, so that'd be a crapshoot.
I think at this point, it might be better to just do Aga 1. Because if you still need to, because there's no guarantee that we'll find a lift upgrade soon. We could find something else.
Yeah, at this point we can find Vanilla Hookshot, and that gets us over to West Dark World. Oh, that is right. Chatham Point. No one has checked Mushroom. This would be a good time to turn it in. It's a one-off, but it might pay off.
Every location other than Swamp Palace at this point is a one-off. Oh, Solski has Lamp. He's going to Hera. This makes perfect sense, actually. Because Hera's a crystal. There's no real reason not to do this now.
Absolutely. You have this goods, go for it. And you also have the cape, plus half magic. Spike Cave is in logic, so no, it's not. You need a lift upgrade. Excusez-moi. I had a brain train.
Yeah, you do need a lift upgrade. It is possible for the second lift upgrade to be there, but not the first. But I do like this play from Solski of clearing out Hera. It's a crystal. You need to come here. Yes, you want to try to save it for the end, but given the number of locations that are left, it's very, very unlikely that you'll actually get what you need to be able to do Tower of Hera in Go mode.
I do like this plan that he's making. Put on the cape, hold the wall. Your magic meter does not fall.
If you have the cape, this is definitely faster than setting up the coffee break room any other way. You'll see runners typically do it with bombs.
But there are other methods of setting up the coffee break, such as Canis Amaria, the bow. Speaking of, Silver Arrow to the green gem on Nomasaur King, finishing it off.
Just a missile pack. This lift upgrade has to come out to play at some point soon. It just has to.
And even when it does, we still are gonna need both of them because we've got the Fire Rod on the island on Death Mountain, so we need them both to be able to get to that new hook shot. Nice bomb jump, Butter Sword.
Butter! So combat in either game going to be a complete non-issue.
As for the bomb jump, Solski did get over to that chest. That is a 2-pixel window without the boots, 6-pixel width if you want. Oh, and Butter Sword makes Moldorm a trivial fight. You just gotta be sure he doesn't knock you off the platform. And there's the Canis Amaria. Maybe we're not too far off from finding Ether Medallion.
So if we find Ether Medallion, this will bring into play that nightmare scenario we were talking about the first lift upgrade being on the pedestal. Like, we're just Ether away from that being a possibility.
And it's a disgusting possibility to think about. But, well, for a sec I thought we were gonna get a mushroom check, but we kinda got debated. Wait a minute, I know exactly what this is. This is setting up fake powder. Maybe. As Hitaka cleans out the armory.
Hitaka, you can't go that way. You don't have a strength upgrade. How are we almost 2 hours into this seed and still have no strength upgrade? This is just mind-boggling what the seed wants you to do. Just dancing around these boulders in Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm. That's what you have to do. These runners probably used to having lift upgrades by now, but not so fast.
Just a big 20.
And yeah, so unfortunately, the fake powder not paying off this time.
Oh, I know what Solski's doing. He's turning in the mushroom.
This could very easily be something here.
You rarely see that portal outside of Swamp Palace used. Great demonstration of game knowledge by Solski.
Yeah, most folks would have opted to restart at Sanctuary and make the route that way. That was the much faster way of doing it. Probably saves a handful of seconds, but in a race like this, every second counts. Hey, it's just missiles!
Wow!
You are really holding out!
Wow,
Solski,
this is
the
crazy.
green upgrade to blue, and I agree, this is absolute nonsense.
Just total nonsense logic. And Solski is heading to Death Mountain probably to go through Meridia. In this case, doing Aga 1 and getting that easy Dark World access would have been much, much faster. I want to say this is the third time that Solski has made this trip in this seed.
Sounds about right, but Solski is making an unexpected turn. Not sure where they're...
I am really curious where he's going.
Wasn't a cathedral. So... This is a thinker, that's for sure.
I am very confused as to where Solski is headed.
Chat's pointing to a backdoor Croc, and
right,
we know that this play
right,
is a Croc.
Right, he hasn't checked Croc yet, and this is actually a really good place for him to refill his supers as well. He probably won't refill all the way. He'll probably fill up to maybe like 15 supers, and then oh, maybe not even that, because he has Wave Beam. He has Wave Beam, so Croc is actually in logic for him. I do like the Croc play here. It's just unfortunate that this is not going to pay off. And it looks like Hitaka is making the play to Swamp Palace. So I don't think that Croc is a bad gamble at all. I don't know about you, but I think it would be absolutely hilarious to find Ether in Swamp Palace. It's probably a lift upgrade, but it would be hilarious to find Ether there.
There's also the very real possibility of having both lift upgrades and hook shot here.
Well, there's the big key. That adds one more check.
As Crocomire burns.
And Solski emptying a whole bunch of ammunition into the spike wall at the back of Crocomire. Both runners clearly very frustrated with this seed.
Any runner would be frustrated with how this seed's played out.
This is one of those seeds where one of my regulars who watched this race, but I didn't if I wasn't in the booth. If I wasn't in the booth with you, they'd be like, "Hey, Riker Rider, you should go play this seed. It's fun."
Well, there's our first lift.
There it is.
At 158.49 on Hitaka's side.
And you could...
That's disgusting.
You could very clearly see the frustration. And Hitaka not checking left side.
And at this point, knowing that he finally has West Dark World access, I absolutely do not blame him.
I want to say that just at basically the 2-hour mark, that is the latest first glove I have ever seen.
I can honestly say the same thing, and that is disgusting.
And that glove with with how thorough both of these players have been with their checks, that glove very clearly puts Hitaka in the lead. So it'll just be, yeah, you saw Solski staring at the door, just in disbelief at there being nothing there. So now I think Solski has to realize that the answer is Swamp Palace. But having to enter Swamp Palace without Hookshot to get a lift upgrade is just gross.
Solski making the scene change. Hitaka's going for a coffee break, and with how long these seeds can get, this is a good chance to relax your hands for a bit, because they have got to be sore at this point in the run.
Oh, no kidding, especially with... What do we have left? Oh, what's even worse is that the ice rod is still MIA, isn't it?
Yep, that thing could pretty much be anywhere at this point, because I think we've seen every check on the Super Metroid side. I'm starting to think it's on the LTTP side.
So this is one of those cases where it would have been much faster to do Aga Tower, but it's hard to make that call because you can't anticipate how many times you'll need to go into Dark World. With the number of checks that were available, it was just overwhelmingly likely that you would find gloves in just some random overworld location. But Swamp Palace, especially with where the mirror was, is just such a mean location. Ugh.
Yeah, and here's the kicker for that. That location is technically possible to happen in a Link to the Past rando if you have a seed where you have to go to Aga 1 for Dark World access, have the hammer, the flippers, and the mirror.
All before a strength upgrade.
And the bumper kicks Hitaka downstairs.
I actually believe all of the rest of the locations in Super Metroid are speed locked.
That's right, so if we don't find speed before Link to the Past Go mode, then that's Go mode for both, and yeah.
These runners really, really don't want to see speed, though.
Yeah,
as much as it would speed up movement, it's like, ironically, the runners don't want to see speed. I mean, how many times have you been... Well, I've played a whole bunch of seeds where you find speed late and it's just the worst thing you could find because it opens up a bunch of just awful one-off checks.
Well, speaking of awful, I might have miscalled Fire Rod on the island because I see it on Hitaka's side. That looked like the Ice Rod. My apologies on that, folks. I must have misseen that.
Well, then the question is, where's Fire Rod?
Considering what we just opened up, I wouldn't be surprised if it were in Vanilla Skull Woods. Or it's behind a lift upgrade, which would be pretty nasty. Or rather, both lift upgrades in Ice Palace on Cold Stair, or even in Ice Palace to begin with, would be nasty enough.
Solski's going to Swamp.
He's about to get his first lift upgrade, and then he's probably going to be thinking, what now?
Oh, he's not going to be happy at all.
That may be a chest that gets foobarred.
The ether is another thing that these runners don't want to see. There are a lot of items right now that our runners don't want to see. And even when the mitts are found, it still won't be over because we don't know what the requirement is for Turtle Rock.
And we'll have no way of knowing until we can actually get up there. So at this point, while it's late in the ballgame, we do have, based off what we know, we do know that West Side Dark World is very much in play. And since no one's been there, it's anybody's guess as to what could be there. But I do know this, Hitaka is going to make our first run into Spike Cave. If this is something, then it could be a bit before Solski gets back here.
Oh, absolutely. That's two terrible locations that Solski would have to check. And Solski headed down to the compass chest as Hitaka checks Spike Cave.
Wow, game.
Here we go.
That's so rude.
Meltdown in 3, 2... Oh. Solski
Or
was a little
he's
quick.
just gonna grab it and go. Well, that's just an ugly location for the flute. Well, a bit of a time save when you consider that you won't have to pass through that awful stretch of lower warfare to get to Myers. Wait a minute, back of escape. How'd we forget this? This was key-locked, remember?
Yeah, that lift upgrade put back of escape in logic, and for whatever reason, back of escape is just...
Oh
my!
Game! Go fly
Oh
a kite!
my!
That is just obnoxiously bad!
That is insane.
Holy smokes!
Absolutely insane. So that trip into Swamp Palace without hookshot, hard required.
Literal hard required. Emphasis on the H.
Well, actually, no, that's not the case. That is not the case, actually, because you could steal a key. You could steal a key from Escape to do it, couldn't you?
Nah. I mean, you could, but who does that, really? Hardly anybody I...
I've seen people do it. And we are getting a left side swamp. I don't think Solski meant to jump down though. But now that we have mitts, this seed is just the search for Fire Rod. Fire Rod and whatever is needed to get into T-Rock. I'm actually a little surprised Hitaka's coming here before checking T-Rock, because wouldn't you want to know what the medallion is before you started going in other dungeons? And the inferior model on the left side swamp, so Hitaka will pick up some time on Solski from not having checked that left side.
Correction to chat. Unfortunately, I What I thought I saw the fire rod, it turned out to be the ice rod, so I got that backwards, and that's on. And Solski, could we see a rage here? Because he's about to find the Titan's mitts much faster than Hitaka. 3, 2, 1. Nah, I'm just gonna save and quit.
So it was really just a race for that lift upgrade.
Get one lift upgrade, and then you find the other at a location you typically see a heck of a lot earlier.
Could you imagine how much
Wow.
different your routing would be if you stole a key from Escape?
Wow. The routing would be day and night different. Solski is going to be giving us our answer to what's needed to go into Turtle Rock as he's heading for the teleporter. Just a small key in the big chest, so there's definitely something in the back of
It's
Skull.
Bombos! This could put the fire rod in a very interesting location.
Now, if it happens to be here, it's a very dirty location no matter how you swing it.
Oh, absolutely, because when you're
Bring
searching Turtle Rock for fire rod, you can get locked out of the dungeon at any moment.
Yeah, the key
Just any
logic
test
has
to lock you out.
absolutely. The key logic has to fall a very specific way for you to get into certain points. Like you need one key to get to the chain chomp room, then you need another key to get past that, then you need to get the big key, vanilla, as there's the grapple beam and super Bunny
boy!
Cave.
Oh boy, Grapple Beam and Super Bunny Cave. Solski did not want to see that at all.
Oh boy, that means Spring Ball could really do something. We hope not, because that would just be ugly. Oh, we got Plasma Beam, though. Nice prize.
Solski's got, or not Solski, Hitaka's got full beams now. So it's really just going to be a search for this rod. Whoever finds this rod first is going to be in great shape. Oh, look at this! Solski's going to try to hover these... Solski's going to try to hover these chests.
There's the Ether Medallion. We very well could see a Fire Rod in Mire, or, worse yet, that Fire Rod could be on the Pedestal.
Also, anybody who's watched Hitaka's other races before, does Hitaka know how to hover? Because if Hitaka does not know how to hover, then Solski would have a big advantage, because that's one less item that Solski does not need to find. Just does not care at that point. Once you find those rods, if you're Solski, you don't care about the hook shot. You don't need it.
Now, the interesting thing to note here is, no matter how many attempts this takes Solski, he still has to go to the end of Hookshot Cave and mirror on the other side so that he can get the Ice Rod and the Light Wolves.
And this is an awful lot of time that Solski is spending for 2 locations. And it does look like at this point Solski is going to give up on these 2 locations.
I do not blame him whatsoever, because hovering is probably the hardest thing I have seen anybody do who has played this game. And yet there are a few runners who are able to make it look so easy.
And that is the ice rod, so Solski just needs to find the fire rod. But there are a lot of places that could be.
There's also
Chat has confirmed. The chat has confirmed that Hitaka does not know how to hover, so we'll need to find that hook shot at some point.
For all we know, he could be on the right path in Thieves Town.
There's the big key, so your fire rod is not going to be in TR.
Yeah,
it could still be possible that the hook shot is required if the fire rod is in the back of Swamp Palace. But with the Titan's mitts, there are so many checks available.
Yep, and it looks like we are getting one of those now, the King's Tomb. Now, I'm surprised he didn't bring a Dark World portal with him, because that would allow for routing in Graveyard Ledge. But there might be a method to his madness, and be ready for...
Now, Fire Rod cannot be anywhere in Turtle Rock because the only chest that's accessible without Fire Rod needs to have a small key in order to continue in the dungeon, and the big key was there.
The only other thing that could have allowed for progression at that point would have also been the Fire Rod, but that was not the case.
There needed to be either the Fire Rod or a small key to continue deeper. But I think Solski is pretty happy he doesn't have to go digging there to find it. But Solski is very happy to find Plasma. Here's the Thieves Town play from Solski. I like this. This is a crystal dungeon. Probably won't be too happy to find Ether, though.
Yeah, but at this point, everything on this side is in play. We're about to get the full blacksmith chain in, all in one go.
And it does look like Hitaka is also setting up the fake powder as well. Burning the midnight oil.
Yeah, quite literally. $50, so hammer pegs aren't it. Let's see what the blacksmith was.
Just a trash can.
Yep, the reserve tanks do allow for backup energy in Super Metroid, but these two runners are so good that, and we saw it with the digging game, they're not going to pick those up at this point.
I wouldn't even bother picking up energy tanks at this point. They already have more than 7.
That, and they do not have that news. We've known for a while no chance of having to do hell runs.
So, I am thinking about where this can be. I get the feeling that the first person to go to Mire is going to be what determines this race.
And Meyer might not be too far off, as with purple chest, Hitaka could easily just turn this in and then go to Meyer immediately thereafter.
That routing makes perfect sense.
And in rando, things don't always make sense, and that's just a piece of heart, so no luck there. And the only problem is Hitaka is going to need some
Hitaka's
magic.
making the play.
He's making the play, but he's making the play, no magic.
Doesn't Hitaka have a blue pot?
Yeah, he might have to use it.
That's fine, you have flute, you can just restock. You can flute over to Witch's Hut at any time and just dump a whole bunch of money into blue potions.
Yep, especially 110 rupees short of a well-known meme in the internet community.
Oh, right, Hitaka's gonna go finish Desert, and then after Desert, we might see a checkerboard cave check. We haven't seen that yet.
Yep, because when Solski was there, no lift upgrade, could not get a lift. And we've seen some weird things be... Anyone who's been familiar with Link to the Past and Combo Rando, you've probably at one point seen some pretty oddball stuff at that location that you think, that's rude. That was pretty much my summer thought first time I saw a Moon Pearl there.
Do I need to link the screen cap of Titan's Mitts being there? I have one of those.
I think we're good. I think a clip of the reaction of finding Titan's Mitts would work just fine.
So, with Skullwoods being a 5/6 crystal, the only thing that could be at Pyramid Fairy would be Hookshot, which Solski doesn't need.
But it still wouldn't be a bad thing alternatively. And I'm going to predicate this off worst case scenario situations here. Say speed turns out to be there. Neither runner's going to want to see that. If that's the case, then our needed item is in Super Metroid, and that's a heart container.
Just art.
We're getting Ice Palace out of Solski. Not a bad play because this is Crystal.
I like this.
Bombs can get through the dungeon.
This play is absolutely fine. I completely forgot about Ice Palace. But checking Ice Palace now is absolutely fine, especially before Mire. Because you need to come in here anyway. Yes, it's a bit of a slog to get to the bottom. I think what Solski is really hoping here for is early key. Early key makes routing Ice Palace so much less of a mess.
Hitaka's not too far behind. Oh yeah, this dungeon is very doable without Hookshot. If it's an early key, and that makes the usual NMG strat. Oh, there we go.
That's a sign.
The devil.
That's a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have Hookshot, that's a sign that Hookshot might be here, or Fire Rod might be here. And if Fire Rod is in Ice Palace, I think that would be GG.
The early key here makes the strategy that most Link to the Past runners have learned and go for, Ice Palace Bomb Jump, much more viable for Ramos.
And I actually believe that with missing Hookshot, it's possible, depending on key placement, that part of the dungeon could be out of logic. Ice Palace key logic is kind of a bit of a weird thing.
And it's a first try bomb jump for Solski.
It's the easiest bomb jump in the game. And probably the most useful.
Outside of a hammer jump, which that one is double pixel perfect. So
IPBJ saves much more time than Hammer Yump.
also worth noting that a part of that trick's name, Hammer Yump, the Yump part, comes from a play in Super Mario World. So there's your SNES connection. As we get a first try Ice Palace bomb jump for Hitaka, is taking care not to get knocked off by the fire bar, which would force another bomb jump.
And for those of you trying to learn how to do Ice Palace bomb jump, and the link to I believe it's linked in the link to the past community on SRC. There is an Ice Palace bomb jump flowchart made by, I believe, Crystal, that can, if you look at that flowchart and follow its directions, you can learn Ice Palace bomb jump in about 15 minutes. I think all that's left down here is just iced tea and cold stare.
And big chest, because I do believe I saw a big key.
Oh, there it is. There's the big key. That's such a rude... That is such a rude spot to put the big key, because logically you would have to get that big key and mirror out of the dungeon. Because if you don't have a hook shot, once you fall to that 5th floor, logically speaking, you cannot get back from the dungeon. Your only way out is to either kill the boss or mirror. Like, that's just so rude.
Yep, most definitely is. Nice bomb jump back over, and Hitaka gets the jump over. And that's power bombs. I believe that's everything we can get in Ice Palace, so... yeah. This is just gonna be a cold stare play and done. So now we're coming up on the cold stare fight. And if you're wondering what use Bombas has other than Freezors, well, you're about to see it on a boss. Makes Phase 1 cold stare trivial, but you still gotta deal with Phase 2, which with Butter Sword won't be too bad, but even... still gotta be careful though, even with Red Mail, no problem for Solski whatsoever. And it was a small key, so by logic, you needed Canis and Moria to get here. And that will do it for Ice Pals. For Solski, Hitaka not too far behind. So now what's next? Probably Meyer, if I had to guess. We're not sure yet about Pedestal. No runner has made the check of Ped, which when Hitaka was up in Skull Woods would have been a perfect time to do it, but not this time.
It's just going to be all about who finds this fire rod first. Because I'm pretty sure Hitaka knows where the ice rod is.
Yep. Yeah, almost 2 hours to first lift upgrade. Stuff that you can only find in combo rando, I might add.
Fire rod pet is absolutely possible.
Interesting strategy by Solski here. I mean, he's not going to find what he's after in Skull. Or what's he doing? Okay, never mind. We are heading over to we're heading over to the graveyard ledge.
And of course, Solski hovers the gap instead of doing bomb jumping. Of course.
Well, it says I want to say somebody once said on a Bette Midler track my mom was listening to, if you got it, flaunt it. And speaking of if you got it, flaunt it, that's where the fire rod is. Game.
That is going to be incredibly difficult for Solski to get to because he's already checked. He's already checked the King's Tomb, so that is an isolated location for him. This is not over yet, though, because Hitaka still needs to find the hook shot. Solski doesn't need to find the hook shot because he knows how to hover. And oh boy, Solski's in the area. He might find this fire rod a little bit faster than oh no, he's turning around.
Oh no, he's made the
no.
He should have taken the left turn in Albuquerque.
So now Solski's really not going to come back to Graveyard Ledge for a long time. Because he has checked everything except that one location.
I am feeling the pain that Solski's going to be feeling when he realizes that. Because everyone who has played a randomizer, combo, Super Metroid, A Link to the Past, has all done that at some point, and then afterwards, they'd find themselves, they would honestly be kicking themselves right in the rear. Understandably so, because I've done it myself, everyone who's played a rando has done it too.
And I did miss this. Thank you very much, The Base Beast, for supporting speed gaming with 500 biddies.
That also means, by logic, unless somehow... Yeah, logic says that Head is dead, and Speed Booster's dead, so this is just a straight up go to Skull Woods and finish it off.
But where is the hook shot?
My honest guess is that it's either at Laser Bridge or Misery Mire.
Also, why can't Hookshot be behind Speed?
Reason being is because if Speed Booster happened to be on Pedestal and
Speed on Pet is dead. Yes, I was just talking about Speed Booster in general. I completely missed what you were talking about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because Speed Booster can't be behind a Speed Booster locked location. So yeah, there's just so many things that are just not possible now, and I'm confused as to why Solski's going back into Super Metroid. The only thing left is Mother Brain. Just making some equipment changes. I am puzzled by this play, admittedly, because there's nothing over here. No, this is definitely not the way shaft tour. It's a bit too hot for that to be the play. Although to be fair, I'd like it much hotter right now. Too
Where
cold.
is Solski? This is the second time Solski's been over this way. Oh, he doesn't have the flute. He's going to Meyer.
Oh. This actually
checked...
makes sense.
He hasn't checked Spike Cave yet, so he doesn't have flute. So many nice items just in absolutely garbage locations. We are going to see a ped check from Hitaka, which is not going to have anything.
Yep, it was the bomb capacity upgrade. So yeah, nothing on the pedestal this time.
And Firestar 43 with the 500 biddies supporting speed gaming as well. Thank you so much. Hitaka's doing Pyramid Fairy. Oh man, if Hookshot... Could you imagine if Hookshot was at Pyramid Fairy?
That is very much certainly in the realm of possibility here. Solski is... I believe he is going into Meyer with the full intention of clearing it as... Correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't he setting up spooky action outside? Or am I mistaken?
This completely makes sense from his perspective.
Oh wait, this is for Meyer too. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Can't burn us, so that wasn't it.
At least we'll be able to see Hitaka do this, the super swag Cane of Burn dash in Turtle Rock. That's one of my favorite item dashes in the game.
That one is fun to do, I have to admit. Hookshot is found. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a no-mode situation here.
Oh my. So it's just, so at this point, it's a race between Hitaka going to Meyer and Solski going to Graveyard Ledge. This is a race. This is still very much a race, because those are both very difficult locations for these runners to get to. That's an absurd location for the hook shot.
Yeah.
Anytime you see either Boots or Hookshot in Meyer, it's just extremely rude. Especially considering that Meyer is a pendant. Hashtag always trust pendant dungeons in VT30. Well,
apparently.
well, just VT26 Plus in general, because 26 Plus is when we really started to see the randomizer loving to put progression in pendant dungeons.
Yeah, that is certain. No doubt about that. I've seen seeds where in combo where you've had to dip all three, in fact going so far as to tease that Pedestal was required, only to leave you feeling debated at the end when you found out Ped was dead. Oh,
that Beery. That Beery.
That might be one of the rudest Beery moves, jukes I have seen in a long time, and that goes beyond the standard swing your sword on the same frame and electrify. Oh, believe me, guys, somebody noticed. Now, Hitaka is not going to find hookshot here. It looks like Solski is going to finish off Swamp, which is not a bad play, but it's at the same time not what we're after.
So it's just Solski finding this fire out at Graveyard Ledge versus Hitaka finding this hook shot at Mire. It's all gonna depend. Solski's going back into Swamp Palace.
Well, you and I, as well as chat, knows that Swamp is not a mandatory double dip, and that is a good thing, because having to double dip Swamp is just... no, that's disgusting. Hitaka doing the usual speedrun strat without the hook shot, so it's gonna have to be another loop around to shoot him the way the game intended on you to do this run.
This room is never fun to do without hook shot. And it's so easy to forget you don't have it and go around that track clockwise instead of counterclockwise. And I do also like this play from Solski, because from his perspective, fire rod pet is still very possible. So this is a very smart play from him, clearing out this dungeon. We know that it's not going to pay off, but this is a great play to cover in case, because I don't believe he has checked it.
Also, taking out Argus Puffs once you get up to Tempered Sword is really easy. Butter Sword, trivial. And Chad does bring a point. It is possible, however unlikely, that you have to double dip Ganon's tower to get to the big key. However, that's not the case today.
And I think it's really crazy that neither one of these runners has figured out the puzzle yet, considering that both of these runners in this tournament have put up sub 230 times. I actually believe Hitaka and Solski have the 2 fastest times in the tournament.
Yeah.
And Hitaka has the fastest time anyone has ever completed a combo seed.
Yeah, and that particular time is just mind-boggling.
I think it was almost sub 220. And we're going on 245, and neither one of these runners are anywhere close to where they need to be.
Well, Solski's about to get the bad news about the Pedestal. I think it was. I'll let Raiko answer that one. The fire rod is on the graveyard ledge, which Solski isolating means it could be a while before he goes back there.
I think both of these runners right now are making good plays. It's just one thing that we say in any sort of game involving a significant amount of variance is the good play and the winning play can be two very different things.
And the winning play isn't always a good play. Sometimes it's a play that is, well, not so great, but it's what the game expects you to do anyway. Yeah, this is a Spike K for Solski. He'll get the flute here, but it's not going to get him anything else, unfortunately, at this point. Just lead him on a wild goose chase down the wrong path. I mean, it could.
Flute actually doesn't mean a lot in combo. In the flute, well, it still means something, but flute means a lot less in combo than it would in standalone LTTP because it's much less likely for the flute to be required. Oh, hi, Magic Powder. How are you doing today? We've wanted you for the last couple of hours.
Well, the only thing that's going to do is turn anti-fairies into fairies on the Link to the Past side at this point. That's about it. Yeah, Flute typically has me thinking Mire, and in early game seeds, that's my routing.
The thing is, though, Mire's been in Logic by way of Super Metroid for a very long time. That's what I was getting at, is we've had logical access to Mire for a very long time. And it looks like that's exactly where Solski is headed, is to go clear out Mire. Although checking Ped before going into Mire is a very good thing, because now if he finds both items in Mire, then he will not need to clear out... Oh, this is a checkerboard cave check. Because he hasn't checked this yet.
Yeah, last time he was up here, he didn't have a lift upgrade, so he has gotten that. Oh, by the way, we got ourselves 7 crystals. So we might as well start the game. Get your big key guesses in, folks. And the guesses are free to everyone, but the closest or first guess from a sub or supporter will get a shout out and a spot on the leaderboard. Sub to any speed gaming channel or cheer 250 total bits. And the 5-star in the Badass Beast, oh yeah, you can definitely get a guess in and get on the leaderboard tonight.
I'm going with 10.
This one's for you, Shades. 12.
And this play of going into GT makes perfect sense from Hitaka. If I haven't found the hook shot by the time I can complete all 7 crystals, my thoughts are that it's in GT. Unfortunately for Hitaka, this hook shot is in Mire, and Solski just found it. So that takes any sort of advantage that he would have from hovering out of the equation.
Two big keys, so this does open up right side GT.
I like this play from Hitaka. Hitaka probably thinks that he is pretty far behind. Oh, he's doing tile room too.
Wow. This
he must think he's
roll.
He must think he is hopelessly behind. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's thinking that, just because of finding Moon Pearl so late.
So if you guess 3, you're really holding on if it's a something at this point, because if this turns out to be right, you just hit a big home run. Nope,
Just heart
piece of
piece.
heart. Hey, it was worth a try.
The reason why hovering is so difficult is the best way to describe it in simple terms is it's rhythmic, frame perfect button pressing.
Yeah, and Hitaka never went into Meyer either. So our first 7, not it.
Oh, look at this. Hitaka's going full Dark Magician route.
He's going full right, which, considering you can't finish the left side, this is the only real way to get to the ice armor, so this makes perfect sense. Yeah, the only thing I've really heard folks mention about hovering is being taught how to do it at, like, GDQs, but not anything that... And some of us don't even get to go out to those type of events. Raise his hand. And our second Misery Mire item is a missile pack. And 8 was a Rookie Horde. Solski is... It was not back at the Ice Armist either, so full right, not the answer. So this would be number 12. And 12 was wrong, I tried. Don't tell me Solski's gonna be heading to Meridia to go for Shaq. How is Hitaka gonna figure this out? Thinking about it, now he's mirroring and he's piecing. Can't blame him because the big key is currently not in logic for Ganon's tower, unfortunately.
He's going the Mire.
That is going to be G to the G, as it is a very short, as Hookshot was not very deep into Meyer. So once he gets that, we'll be able to call a go mode, and at that point, it would only be a matter of time before Hitaka takes home third place.
And this is why this third place match is such a long series. Because this can happen to anybody.
Yeah, if you try to dash into the Canis Samaria blocks, you actually kick the blocks instead.
I believe there's actually a strategy with that in one of the dark rooms in Mire. Look at all those energy tanks Solski has.
Yep, he's up to 12.
This is actually so much energy to the point where if you don't get baby skip, it's actually faster to take your suits off before the baby drains you.
And at 2 hours, 55 minutes, 25 seconds, Hitaka has entered go mode.
And a very large number of well-deserved frustration slashes towards that chest. And Solski is headed to Shaq Tool.
Unfortunately, this is not the play that this could still be something hilarious for the wrong reasons.
I mean, you have to think about it from Hitaka's perspective as well. Based on how late that Moon Pearl was found, you have to feel that you're behind.
Well, you could kill Shaq Tool now, but you have to wait for him to dig through the wall. That's basically an auto-scroller for all intents and purposes. I mean, if this turns out to be Speed Booster, that just leads Solski even farther away from the Fire Rod.
Speed is something you absolutely do not want to see. Just bomb capacity.
Thankfully.
It's actually pretty likely that speed is in GT itself. Now, one important note, if you're playing a seed where you're still looking for Super Metroid progression, is that a Super Metroid progression can never be in Ganon's Tower.
Now we are resuming Ganon's Tower.
Solski deep in the tank, trying to figure out where this fire rod could possibly be.
13, no. 14!
Fluting back to... Fluting back to town. Where is he headed?
And that's the beast.
Oh no!
14.
Oh no! Solski's doing rechecks. I think he might have marked on his... If he's using a tracker, I think he might have marked Graveyard Ledge's check. This could be a tracker. This could be a tracking error.
And honestly, I know it gets said elsewhere, but tracking errors, you honest to goodness, you hate to see that happen.
Tracking errors are the hardest errors to fix, because then once you've exhausted all the apparent locations and you still haven't found the progression, then the rechecks begin. This will show you this can happen to anyone. Whether you're just keeping track of everything in your head, or you're using crosses, you're using emo tracker, it doesn't matter how you track. It can happen to anybody.
Yep, it also, yep, and there's some runners who also have their own laminated paper for specific runs. That's how they track. Heck, in the fall tournament on the Link to the Past rando side, yeah, did a goof in my head once on the last featured race I had, so yeah. Solski going to Death Mountain. Okay, Solski is doing something. Is he going to recheck head?
I think so. I think if he's rechecking locations, then he has to have made a tracking error. He has to have forgotten about Graveyard Ledge.
Yeah, because I mean that could really happen to anybody. Heck, I forgot about the Pyramid Ledge once recently, so that one still burns.
It makes sense. It makes sense though because he checked King's Tomb, and then he was over by Graveyard. He was over by No, it was when he checked Bumper Cave is when he should have checked Graveyard Ledge, but he just left. He must have thought that he checked Graveyard Ledge when he checked King's Tomb because it's very common to check those two locations together. Solski actually had checked Ped before. Both of them knew what was on Pedestal.
And Moldorm 2 is down. Time to check what he left behind. Or
Just
leave it behind.
Compass.
Yeah, unfortunately, Solski's about to get catfished.
This is another location I was wondering when it was going to get routed. It's a tough location to route because it takes, about a minute to come up here.
That bonk means he is setting up for a quick portal if he's going to mirror. And he's just going to let that blue rupee sit there as Hitaka takes down Agadim.
I mean, he's definitely remembering locations he hasn't checked. It's just... it's going to be very difficult for him to... I'm actually beginning to wonder... if he comes in, we'll have to ask Solski if he uses a tracker.
Yeah, that's a good point, although chat could also know if he uses a tracker as well. Yeah. Late night English.
Because I know that that a lot of the top tier runners actually prefer not to use a map tracker.
We are already on phase 3 of the Ganon fight on Hitaka's side. He is ready with the silvers as soon as we hit the final phase.
Well, Hitaka is extremely well equipped for both final bosses. I believe we have full beams on the SM side, and the only thing that Hitaka's missing that would make this fight easier is red mail.
Well, Solski's in the right ballpark.
I think he might figure it out now, and when he finds that fire rod, he's not going to be happy.
Oh, that is a very efficient Ganon fight for Hitaka. We got bacon, folks.
And Chad is confirming that Solski does indeed use a map tracker.
That's 1G in chat, but we still got to get the other one, and that would be Mother Brain.
Now, typically the reason why you kill Mother Brain second is because you might find some items in GT, such as some ammo, that would help you with the Mother Brain fight. It's not just because the Super Metroid ending is faster. And there it is, Solski, not too happy with that. So at 3:05 and change, Solski is now in go mode.
I cannot blame him for not being happy about that, because now the race is on to get the final 2 crystals, defeat Ganon and Mother Brain. Unfortunately, time is rapidly running out, so he's really gonna have to put a hustle on. And Solski just immediately roasting a monster. Cannot blame him, because those tentacle enemies, they tend to hurt if you only have green mana. I'm gonna go with that as well. Rando room or in the double firebar room.
I would say at this point, Hitaka's lead is at least 20 minutes. Because Solski also has all of TR to do after this. And then G Tower plus Turian is usually about 20.
Although he can cut some time if he goes full left. In Ganon Tower.
I think that if you're Solski, you have to feel very far behind after tanking so long trying to find the fire rod. And we can see Hitaka taking off both suits to be able to damage down faster. That's very common when you have this much energy.
Yeah, and he's already setting up to do the Zeb skip. Facing right, jumps right in. That's seamless.
And it's very important that after the baby cutscene, you face right. Because Samus has one fewer frame of animation for standing up facing right than facing left, so you save 40 frames. It's absolutely required.
It certainly helps, no doubt about that. Missiles are full, and now the energy's filled up. One more eyeball door, which takes 3 missiles or a super. Now we see Hitaka about to set up for a Zeb skip.
First try.
Super easily.
I'm going to use supers on Mother Brain 1 because when you have full beams, it's very, very quick. Mother Brain 2 fight. Only 20 charge shots. Mother Brain has 18,000 hit points, and with full beam combo, charge shots do 900 damage apiece because Mother Brain is actually weak to beams.
And a nice job of avoiding the ketchup meme.
And Hitaka's setting up stand-up?
Yep, that sounds about right. Although I think the one thing that could really help speed up the 80% route would be a way for stand up to be involved in the route, but I don't know if anything like that's feasible.
Where would you do it, even?
That's a very good question.
But even if you could do it at will, where would it be useful? Now, one thing you do need to be careful about is not to over-damage a Mother Brain when you have full beams and you're in stand-up. Because if you are fast enough, it is possible to over-damage, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's a soft lock.
And I can assure you that we are not going to be seeing Hitaka save any animals because with looking at this time, they both full well know that each of these runners has been getting sub 3 hour times in the tournament pretty regularly.
Yeah, but this escape's gonna take much longer without speed boost, because here's the path that the game wants you to take, which was also highlighted in an issue of Game Pro magazine that I picked up when I was a kid. And even with Space Jump, these jumps are still, well, maybe easier with high jump, because you have more jump velocity. As Solski's going for a zero cycle, just missed with the fire route shot.
Really impressed with
Still gonna be a one
really
cycle.
impressed with Hitaka's escape climb. That was very clean.
Oh, it most definitely was, no doubt about that. As Solski takes down Trinex, but the clock is just about to run out as Hitaka is entering the final room. Getting back to the ship and taking the win. Get an official time for you. Get your GGs in chat.
Three hours, 14 minutes flat, and it looks like an immediate forfeit from Solski. I'm not surprised at all after how long it took to find the fire rod.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. And apparently, I'm just reading through IRC. There was a high jump at R. Yes, I just had to do that once.
Hello.
It looks like we do have Hitaka in the booth. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you. Oh, that was
So,
a heck of a
so
seed.
absolutely. Take us through that one. That one was a mess. This seems like one of those seeds where if I wasn't calling this race, about 5 people in the Discord would tell me, "Hey, Riker Rider, you should go play this seed. It's fun." Although to be fair, I do enjoy playing seeds that force you to access Dark World through Meridia. I think they're really cool.
Yeah, there's an interesting route you can do, and this was clearly logically an Agus seed, but by doing Ice Clip in the pre-bot wound room, it allowed us to skip that.
And speaking of logic, when you found the Titan's mitts in Back of Escape, did you ever think about whether Solski had stolen a key out of Escape to get that lift upgrade?
Oh yeah, I was definitely thinking about that because I know that's something he does sometimes. And I thought about it, but I decided not to because I didn't want to do Dark Back of Escape, which is kind of slow. And once I was done with Front of Escape, and I knew the key and the map were both in the back, so there was only one item in the back, so I figured, it's probably nothing. But of course, it was the other glove. But apparently, he didn't do that, so that worked out.
No, he didn't. What got him, as you know, is the fire rod. He spent a long time in the tank trying to figure out what had happened. We actually speculated that he made a tracking error. We of course won't be able to know unless he comes in here, which I'm not sure if he is, but we speculated it was a tracking mistake.
Of course, the main thing about the seed that was making me sweat was that it was a hover seed with hookshot in a dumb spot and pendant swamp. And Solski can hover and I can't, so I was just thinking about that the whole time after I found Fire Rod and was in like quasi-go mode.
We were speculating that as well, and he just got held up on the fire rod, and that's what allowed you to open up a window for the victory. So we also speculated that the reason why you took the Dark Magician route through the right side of GT, besides the missing hookshot, was the fact that you found Moon Pearl so late. Did finding Moon Pearl so late influence some of your decision making?
No. I don't know what finding Moon Pearl late has to do with GT routing, honestly. I just went right because I didn't have the hookshot.
Oh, and it looks like we do have Solski in the booth as well.
Oh, also, there were 2 keys in Hope Room, and from what I've heard, that means it's likely there's an item in Tile Room, which is why I just did Tile Room immediately.
That was a heck of a gamble. Had you been right, that would have been amazing. Also, we are joined by Solski in the booth. GG, Solski.
I wouldn't say that, but it was a thing.
It was a G.
Yeah, it was at least one G.
So the big thing that Les and I wanted to ask you, with the fire rod, we noticed that you had passed by Graveyard Ledge several times without checking it. Was that part of a tracking mistake?
Probably just forgot it. I mean, I've been up since like maybe 6 a.m. and right from work I did 2 FF4 seeds, so I've probably not a good idea. But yeah, no, it was a mistake.
That'll do it.
This is like not the seed for that, because it was basically a big brain seed. Like, this made you think, and that's why I was making plays like following up on Gloveless Desert, potentially having a glove at Fat Fairy, like your first glove. That's like how in depth I was thinking about that seed.
We were speculating things like first glove at Landmo's, possible. For a long time, it was possible first glove at Ped.
Ped would have been a big what if, but I highly doubt it would have been ever at that close. Again, like the Fat Fairy seemed reliable because like if you ran, I knew I wasn't gonna get an item at Lamo, but I could still like get that hook shot, say in Norfair, because I haven't been there yet. So, or sorry, for the Croc area is what I'm trying to say. So, I don't know. It was just a really offbeat seed. Played really weird, but
this is one of those. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it is what it is. So
this is one of those seeds that I think is going to get passed around a lot in Discord. One of those. Hey,
it won't be me passing it.
It's like, hey, you should go play this seed. It's fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to inflict this on anyone else. This is a pretty bad one.
Yeah, this was definitely one of those seeds that you bury 6 feet under after you send it to die in a countywide tire fire.
Yes. But I did want to say good game to Hitaka, regardless. Like, hell of a match.
Yeah,
and,
GG, dude.
Good game for the 3rd place. Congrats.
Thanks. And congrats on 4th place. That's nothing to sneeze at.
Not at all. Like, you still cashed.
That's right.
Yeah, I like I said to Hitaka, I really didn't care about the money. I was kind of in it to win, but it is what it is. It's fine. We missed our target, but we had a good tournament.
Oh, you had a fantastic run, and you had some real memories in the Swiss rounds of the tournament as well, like that sub 230. That was really crazy to see.
That was good, for sure.
But did you have to do it against me?
Yes. One of my favorite matches was actually the Zos match too, just because like he had like 3 or 4 races strung against me where I just couldn't get a win against him, and then I finally got one. And it was like great.
Certainly a great time to do in the tournament. So Hitaka, do you have any favorite moments you'd like to share about the tournament as well before we close this out?
Oh geez, it's been a heck of a tournament. It was long. It was a lot of fun. I'm a little burned out at this point, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I get you there. I'm actually I mentioned it in my last race, but I'm kind of retired for tournaments for now. I got a lot of stuff going on right now, and like I told Hitaka and IRC, 11 tournaments in 2 years is a bit much.
I know exactly how you feel, Solski. I'm actually in 4 tournaments myself right now. It's a lot.
Yeah. I think
certainly not.
Sorry, go ahead.
Certainly nothing this long. I think I'm in the LTTP Plando. I'm in the Zelda 2 Max Rando. I'm in the SMZ3 Rando. I'm in the Donkey 3 any percent tournament. None of those are near as long as this, but still a really fun event.
Like I'm in kind of a casual SM rando tournament, but I might just dip from that too, just to kind of clear my head and clear my schedule a little bit better. So I don't know, we'll see.
You're a really strong player, and if you do come back for the next one, you'll certainly be a name to be feared.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll be back for a tournament. I just don't know when. Like again, it's just I have in my mind like a checklist of what I want to accomplish first, and I just want to make sure I can clear that before I can just get into another tournament. Because again, like I said, like I did not care about the money, and I'm very honest when I say that. I really did want to win, and we didn't accomplish the goal. So I got to figure out what I need to do to get there, and like on top of a couple of life things, it just might take a while to get there.
Completely understandable. So, Hitaka, Solski, any final thoughts about the seed? Or just anything you want to say at all about the event?
I think my favorite moment from the tournament is probably have to be getting a 219.56. I still can't believe that happened. Like, that was just a completely ridiculous seed.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's, as far as I know, the fastest anybody's completed a combo seed.
A single player, yeah.
I'd definitely say that's the highlight for sure of the tournament, so that's a good one to highlight.
I have to agree with that. Because that, just thinking about how that could potentially happen is just mind-blowing.
And if any of you have not watched that sub 220 seed by Hitaka, go do it. It'll blow your mind. But that being the case, I think this is the wrap for our bronze match. So take it away, Les.
That it is, but I am looking over the schedule for tomorrow as we have crossed midnight. There's still a number of races on undetermined channels. GG to our runners if you're not. Drop the command in chat. And definitely give them a follow. They've definitely earned it after one heck of a match, that's for sure. As we've got races starting rather early on Speed Gaming 1, bright and early at 8 a.m. There's going to be speed gaming action all day tomorrow across the networks. A lot of different games, a lot of matches. So it is definitely one to look forward to, that's for sure. As for our next combo match, that would be Game 2, by the way. I believe that's later this weekend. Not seeing it on the schedule, though, but we pay attention to... But it shall be known, that's for sure. Anyway, also, don't forget to give my commentary partner, Ryko Rider, a follow as well. He's involved in a lot of awesome stuff across the speed gaming community, so it's certainly well worth it. That being said, for our runners Solski and Hitaka, my commentary partner Ryko Rider, our tracker Duder Zero, and everybody behind the scenes at Speed Gaming, Leslie Pro 4 saying, everybody, have a good night, watch out for Metroids, and take care.
Night, everybody.